Ladies and gentlemen, good night and welcome once again to another edition of the Ndp Monday Night Live, where we go live from the New Democratic Party's Facebook page. To all our friends and fans out there and followers of the New Democratic Party, we say a pleasant good night to you. Once again, I'm your host, Colin Graham. It's a pleasure being here with you and joining us on tonight's edition of Ndp Monday Night Live. Party's elected representative, Fernand Leeward, and of course, he is also a vice president of the New Democratic Party, and he's also the spokesman on agriculture for the New Democratic Party. I say good night and welcome to the Honorable Patel Matthews. Welcome to the Ndp Monday Night Live.
Thank you very much, Colin. It's a privilege for me to be here on the program. And I think tonight we're going to have a very good discussion. I anticipate that. But before we get into the mix of things, I just want to say that I heard that some students are home from Jamaica. It's excellent, because they have been there for a while and wanted to come home. I hope that those who wish to come and can come at some way can be fine to bring them home. And I also sympathize with those as well who are in Cuba and who want to come home as well. And I believe that as a people, when we are not at home, especially in times like these, and we get caught up in something and we can't do better about it, we tend to feel lost sometimes. So I do hope that at least something can be done for those students in Cuba as well. Also, my brother, this is the time of COVID-19, and I want our people to continue to practice the social hygiene, social distancing, and so on and so forth. Because, we in the New Democratic Party, we have been to the forefront when it comes to the COVID-19, and especially our leader, Dr. Friday, leading by example, telling our people what to do, and so on at a time like this. So I just want to get that out of the way before we start into the meat of the program.
All right. Well, again, thanks for joining us here on the Ndp Monday Night Live. So we're going to get straight into it. Remember, to all our viewers tonight on Facebook Live, we encourage you to share the live video tonight. And as well, remember, you could submit your questions to the Honorable Patel Matthews. Leave them in the comment section. And of course, we will be asking him your questions here tonight on the Ndp Monday Night Live. So let's get straight into it. Patel, you're the spokesperson for the New Democratic Party on agriculture-related matters. You're the agriculture man in the New Democratic Party.
Yes, my friend. Yes, I am.
We are now under the dark cloud, as I like to call it, of COVID-19. And how important is agriculture in all of this? Because obviously food security and all of this is an important issue as it relates to our agriculture and whatnot. So we want to talk that wide. It's a big umbrella. So we want to talk all of that. As the agriculture man for the New Democratic Party, where and how, what are the first steps we should be taking?
Well, Colin, indeed we are in very tough time. When the COVID pandemic started, and countries around the world, one of the major concerns was that of food and food security. In St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we were a bit fortunate because I always give credit to our hard-working farmers who out there every day toiling and to do what is necessary to put food on the table and at the same time make money to help them with their everyday living. As I must say, agriculture is one of those areas that St. Vincent and the Grenadines stands to benefit a great deal from. Now, I want to link it, as you say, with the COVID-19 situation as well, right? Now, we in the New Democratic Party recognize for a very long time the importance of agriculture to the economic well-being of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, in terms of economic activities, in terms of job creation, in terms of people making ends meet, we have been having some problems. People have migrated in droves to the US, Canada, the UK, because they want a better life for themselves. The economy of St. Vincent at the time, especially during the last 20 years, agriculture has dropped tremendously in terms of its contribution to GDP. For example, Colin, in 2001, and I use that point because that's when this administration took over, the contribution of agriculture to GDP was 12%. Okay? As of this year, agriculture's contribution to GDP is a mere 6%. then you could see what is happening. Because of that, we lost jobs. A lot of people from the rural communities, agriculture is most prominent, coming into Kingston looking for jobs that like watchmen and so on, security guards. And we in the NDP realized that no, we have to refocus in terms of our agriculture program. What are we going to do to make agriculture a mainstay of the country's economy as it used to be? Now, let me link it to the COVID situation, because what the COVID pandemic has brought out, especially to the Vincentian society, is the importance of agriculture. How important it is. Because here is a sector of the economy that can do so much in terms of our economic viability.
Right.
But it was been neglected. And I like to make the reference. I say agriculture comes like an outside child, you know, and you hardly take care of it. Or a stepchild in the home that sometimes nobody seems to care about. And that is how I look at the way government treats agriculture. The farmers, and I always, whenever I mention the farmers of St. Vincent, I have to give them credit because they stuck it out. We have, for example, we have a budget of over $1 billion, Colin, and agriculture contributed a mere 4% of the budget.
4%?
4%. Such an important ministry.
But you would think it would be higher up on the list than that.
Exactly. But what has happened, when the COVID pandemic started, then all of a sudden we realized how important agriculture is. And hence the reason, when we debated the stimulus package in the parliament, agriculture in terms of the portion of the stimulus package received far more than other ministries. But in the budget before that, it received only 4% of the budget in terms of for projects and whatnot. Now, I heard the Minister of Agriculture boast and talk about that we have been able to provide food for neighboring islands and whatnot.
Right.
But that is not the doing of the ministry. That is the doing of the hard-working farmers in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. They are the ones who put their effort in. And because of the pandemic, where some countries totally shut down and or lockdown, persons can't get to do agricultural work, and they were able to get a market, or the market in those areas, Barbados, Trinidad, like extended because persons in those areas were on the total lockdown.
Right.
So we were able to capitalize on that. Right? So, and as I said before, it is not by any magic of the Ministry of Agriculture. It is because of the hard-working Vincentian farmers. Now, Colin, the New Democratic Party, okay, we have a clear plan for agriculture because we understand what is happening in the sector. We want to build a country that works for everyone, and where everyone who wants to work can get a work. That's our main aim. Now, I can assure you that we will set ambitious targets to achieve this. A strong economy and good infrastructure will bring in foreign direct investment into St. Vincent. Because once we have the infrastructure in place, people would see St. Vincent as a place where they want to invest. Now, this is where agriculture comes into that. Now, we recognize the central role of agriculture in achieving this.
Right.
Job creation, food security, and the New Democratic Party is positioning itself through agriculture and other areas. But because I am dealing with agriculture specifically, I will concentrate this evening to tell the viewers out there how the New Democratic Party intend to make agriculture an economic pillar in which to move forward.
All right. So I'm glad that you set the premises. So my question now would be, what would be the first thing that we need to do to start building a strong agricultural sector back in St. Vincent and the Grenadines?
Well, Colin, I'm glad you asked me that question. Because the New Democratic Party, we are a party of vision. Okay? At one time, we traversed the length and breadth of this country to every agricultural district. We listen to the farmers, the farm workers, the community that surround the farms, and we listen to what they are saying. You know, we didn't just stay in our little corner in our offices and determine what the farmers' needs are. We went to the farmers and we listened to their concerns. Based on the feedback we got from the farmers, the role that we see agriculture can play in this country, one of the first things that we will do in a new NDP government is to create a ministry separate from agriculture itself, because we realize that agriculture, you notice agriculture, fisheries, blah, blah, blah. We want to change that. We want to have a full-time Ministry of Agriculture, full stop. Now, the reason why I put it that way, because at present, agriculture is twin. We also want to create a new Ministry of Fisheries and Marine Conservation.
Wow.
The reason for that, Colin, as we always say, agriculture and fishery, because in economic terms, sometimes people refer to the resources, land, and it includes the sea as well.
Right.
So hence, we are saying that in the past, where agriculture was twinned with the sea as one ministry, we're going to remove that and have agriculture by itself and fisheries and marine conservation as a new ministry. Because, Colin, these are two very important sectors. Sometimes I know that when you have Ministry of Agriculture, sometimes fisheries get lost in the process.
Right.
And I am confident that the fishing industry in St. Vincent and the Grenadines is one area that we could capitalize and to create jobs and get foreign direct investment and get foreign monies coming into St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Apart from that, we have to know where the ministry per se and where it is going. But in order for us to do that, we have to know what is happening now. And hence, we are going to embark as well on conducting a national agricultural census throughout the length and breadth of this country to understand where we are. Because, Colin, when we have an agricultural census, it will give us an indication as to how many arable lands are there, how many farmers involved, what are they planting, what are the acreage of dasheen, tanya, edos, etc., the acreage of tomatoes, size, you name it, how many hectares of trees do we have, and so on and so forth. Where are they located? Who are involved in the farming? How many goats, how many sheep, how many cattle, pigs, and so on and so forth. How many farmers, their names, their gender, etc., etc. And how many acreage each farmer, as we say, is working on.
Right. So you wouldn't be going into it in guesswork?
No. So once we have a census to give us that view, then we would know where to plan, where to put the resources to revive this very important sector that over the years has been lagging behind the other sectors of government.
Now, you're already starting off the program pretty heavy here. You've already stated that the New Democratic Party, under your leadership at the Ministry of Agriculture, will now be saying, well, look, it's going to be just the Ministry of Agriculture, and we'll now be creating a new ministry, that of the fisheries and marine conservation.
Yes.
Why was that so important to separate the two?
Now, as I alluded to earlier on, right? Now, fishing by itself is a massive industry. At this moment, there is a projection for 2026 in terms of the fishing industry worldwide. And the projection is this, that by then, the fishing industry would worth $438 billion. I want to repeat that. In 2026, the fishing industry today, as we know it, would have a value of $438 billion. Now, Colin, be one piece of that. You know why? St. Vincent and the Grenadines, in terms of its exclusive economic zone, we are much more fortunate than other OECS and even other Caribbean countries. Our exclusive in terms of fishing extends about 200 miles a radius around the country, which means that we could go out 200 miles in any direction. Now, we have the Grenadines. That gives us an advantage because we have an archipelago from the mainland right down to the Grenadines to this pretty St. Vincent. So that goes to show the extent of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and our sea space. We can capitalize on that. Our neighbors, in terms of Grenada, they are making millions, up to $50 million US from fishing. We can do the same. But Colin, while we are talking about that, right, you know, sometimes people might say, but how are you going to do that?
Right.
How are we going to achieve this? How are we going to get people involved? And hence the reason, one of our tasks in a new NDP administration is to create or bring it back a development bank. Now, the development bank, but might say, but there are other commercial banks out there.
Right. So why a development bank is so important?
Now, the loan portfolio in a development bank is not as rigid as the commercial bank, because while the commercial banks operate from a profit perspective, the development bank, as it says, is operate to develop the country through soft loans to individuals. So, for example, a young person coming out of secondary, say the community college or university, with a brilliant idea, they do not have to depend solely on government to provide employment.
Right.
They can come up with this plan, apply to the development for funding, development bank, and once the funding is achieved, the bank will set its criteria. And once the person application sits well with the criteria set out by the bank, then the person will be given a loan with guidance, of course, because someday you might not have the experience, but you might have an idea. They have guidance, and they would go ahead and set up their businesses or whatever plan they want to do. So the development bank will provide these opportunities for young people, especially people in sectors such as agriculture, for example. A farmer might find it difficult to get a loan from a commercial. Fisher folk might find it difficult to get a loan from a development bank. From a commercial bank. But the development bank is a special bank where persons from farmers, from fishing and other sector could develop themselves through loans coming out of this, and they do not have to pay the high interest rate associated with the commercial bank. So that's why I say, look, the New Democratic Party, we are going back to basics. And when I say back to basics, in the sense that we had a development bank before, and we still work to develop our farmers, our fisher folks, and other individuals, people get into their own businesses, and we have to get back to that kind of program to help our people.
So obviously, a development bank is an important step in helping our local farmers as well to young entrepreneurs to get the opportunity that is needed. Equipment, farming equipment, materials, all of this. I've heard many times you mention as well, and I want us to expand as much as we can on this topic for as much as we can on the program. I've heard you mention time and time again the importance of having land banks. Explain this. What is this?
Okay, now, throughout the length and breadth of St. Vincent and Grenadines, there are land just lying there. Some of these are on Conglands, and some of these are lands that owned by people who are either overseas and they're not doing anything with them, or people who, for some reason, is not farming anymore. And you see, that is why the census is important. Right? Because if we have a census, we would know where these lands are, and we will know whether or not the lands are occupied. Now, once we know for a fact that these lands are idle, nobody's working them. If the land is privately owned, the state will get in touch with the owners to the leasehold for interested farmers. Similarly, if lands that are owned by the Crown is left fallow, as we say, not nobody working the land, as we say, then these land could be we put them in a land bank. So we know, for example, that in St. Vincent and Grenadines you have land that is not used, and we will have the geographical location of these lands, and we could promote it. There are people who are interested in farming. Say in your area there might be, say, 10 acres of such lands, and persons could have access to these lands via leasehold or whatever arrangement the state decide to use for that person can get involved. And because that you have a development bank that is able to give you support, that is something that we hope would catch on to people, because a lot of people out there who are interested, Colin, they want to do things, but they don't have the resource, they don't have the lands. And there are people out there who have the lands, they might not have the strength to do it or the vibes to do it. They're not motivated to farm anymore, but they will gladly accept a lease from someone who is able to farm. So there are all these things that we can do and get our people involved with support and get the agriculture sector started.
All right. Ladies Democratic Party, and he's our guest tonight on NDP Monday Night Live. We encourage you to share the live and send in your questions. We'll be posing your questions to the Honorable Patel Matthews tonight, and we want to say good night to our viewers as well. You can also watch us live on YouTube, and if you're looking at us live on YouTube, we say thank you very much for joining us tonight on the NDP Monday Night Live. Patel, I want us to touch as much as we can.
Yes.
Perennial lastly.
There's a lot to talk about.
There's a lot. There's a lot. Of course, as well as be price control, the goods and commodities of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. What would you, as the minister,
this have turned a lot of farmers off. You plant up your stuff and somebody going to reap it before you.
right?
We cannot accept that. And what we intend to do is have a zero tolerance approach to perennial larceny. Zero tolerance. Once a proper investigation is carried out and the culprit is found, they should be dealt with at the by the full extent of the law. We will upgrade the existing legislation to make sure it happen. We have been looking at the idea, for example, of creating a special agricultural court to deal with matters such as these. You know why? Because farming is like, we have depending on the crop you plant, maybe a 3 months or 6 months. And sometimes you might invest all your money into a particular crop and somebody go and steal everything. What do? You go tie up in the courts for months, years, and so on. So we intend to deal with that in a quick way by having explore the possibility, I should put it this way, of having a special court to deal with these matters in an expedient manner. My brother, we have seen where in St. Vincent and the Grenadines that some local produce, while we practice it now, we would like to practice safety and healthy eating. But sometimes somebody produce that we have in St. Vincent, sometimes you ask yourself, boy, it might be cheaper to buy it elsewhere or from another country because the prices are definitely too high. While I might not advocate price control per se, but there must be some intervention from the state level where farmers can get the produce sell and consumers can be able to buy at a reasonable price. Man, if you go in the market sometimes, you notice a lot of produce after a while it just spoil. Not because the vendors are not, but the vendors have to make their money. And sometimes in trying to make their money, spoilage occur. So we must find a balance where the farmers, the vendors, and the consumers can be happy. This is a work in progress, and it's something that we are giving a lot of thought, and we hope that we can find something, as I said, that will form a balance that will everybody at the end of the day will be happy.
Now, agriculture of late, it seems like it's not for the young people we're speaking specifically here now, that they're not so much inclined or leaning towards getting involved in agriculture. How is the New Democrat, you as the Minister of Agriculture?
One of the things that we have to do, and you know, in St. Vincent and Grenadines, and I agree with you, a stigma, if you want to call it, a taboo has been placed on agriculture.
Right.
For example, you're growing up in your home, your family, your father, your grandfather involved in farming. They send you to school to farming, they build a house that cover your head to farming and all of that. And then you would hear one of them say to you, I don't want you to come and use iron hole like me. So you're making sure you must become a doctor.
Right.
You don't hear these kind of stories.
Right. Shirt and tie.
Yes, and everybody look at that as the job. But over the years, Colin, agriculture has diversified so much that you have specialties. You know, you have agronomists, soil technician.
Right.
You know, you have person who are specializing in plant cuttings. You know, they're different. You know,
developing new machinery
and so on. You have agro-processing, which is another aspect of agriculture, agro-business management.
Right.
There are several areas that we can do well in St. Vincent, if we have the expertise. The New
we've not been tapping into that
exactly.
much.
That is why I'm saying the New Democratic Party, we are going to implement agriculture science in the primary schools. You know why? Because it is an important sector. And it is because of the importance that we have agriculture in, that we think that at the primary school level, we should start there with agriculture. Okay? When you get to secondary school, the program must continue. Must continue up because it's an issue of livelihood. It's an issue of food security that we have it as high important, very important. And if we have that, it is important that we instill in the minds of our children, the importance of the sector, and guide them towards that. You know, my brother, I propose an idea, and you're going to hear it for the first time tonight. And I talk with the principal of the Richmond Vale Academy. The Richmond Vale Academy, as you know, is a foreign-based institution on the leeward side of the country. And they have been taking in students on a regular basis, most from overseas.
Right.
They have hundreds of acres of land down there. And I had a discussion about a month ago with the principal. And I suggested to one, we talked. He said to me, you know, you have a nice program at this community college going on. How about if we make Richmond Vale Academy the faculty of agriculture for that college, for the community college? Okay. And here we're going to do it. Now, there are living quarters at the school, and there are lands that ports could do whatever agricultural practical they need to do. So it would be a good thing if we could team up with that. We have the program being overlooked by the University of the West Indies. And because we have an agriculture country, Colin, we could have this program up to a first degree level being done right here in St. Vincent. Because when you look at the resources at the Richmond Vale Academy, it is something that we could accommodate.
Right.
There are the same land bank program we talk about could be used as well by students who are doing the program. Because let me tell you something, when you're doing agriculture, it is important that you have the practical experience along with the theory. And there are lands available for us to do that. We just have to know how to tap into into those resources and use them to our advantage. As I said to you, the idea that I have discussed with the principal at the Richmond Vale Academy is something I believe can work. We can have a joint effort, have it overseen by the University of the West Indies through the community college program, and it's something that our young people could look forward to. Colin, a couple of weeks ago, I was in an area up in central Kingston, and there's a lady from Globe Australian. She has this greenhouse farm.
Right.
This is somebody who, as she told me, that is YouTube, she lowered all her thing off her.
Wow.
I was rather surprised. But she has one of the best privately owned greenhouse operations in this country. You see the workers, you know, they have done the tunic, white tunic, the water boats, well presentable. That is the way of the future. We cannot look at agriculture as a dirty job anymore. It's important. Food security is important, and people would gravitate towards something that is paying them good money.
Right.
So
there's a science to it.
Yes, there's a science to it, and we have to ensure that we produce food of a high quality. And while I am the under two, one of the things that we intend to do as a party is to lessen the amount of toxic that we use in agriculture. Lessen to the point of not using it anymore, get rid of it totally, because we want to create in St. Vincent and Grenadines that when you get a produce from St. Vincent, it must be something that is toxin-free and low on toxin, because people's health is what they eat. So we are channeling in that direction.
How important, just as much as we just mentioned briefly, the science, how important is the technology in helping to advance our agricultural sector?
Very important. Very important, Colin, because as I said, we cannot be stuck in the past.
Right.
We have to move forward. And in everything that you do now is done through technology. Program can use to look at your soil, using satellite imaging to tell you the toxin level, for example, in your soil, or the composition of a certain chemical in the soil, and know what to plant, know what crop would grow where best, and all of that. And we can, as small as we are, someday we should not make the size of our country determine what we can do. And I always say, you know, my brother, for as long as we can remember, our agriculture has been hoe and cutlass, put it that way.
Right.
We have to
change that.
While at the same time, maybe our topography is a bit challenging, but that too, technology is available to deal with our very high slopes that we do farming in some areas. There are technologies that could combat the kind of hardships that farmers endure in trying to plow on the hillside.
I've seen in some countries where they had overcome hurdle by using cable, in a sense, cable carts to transport the produce from
To and
the
from
mountains
certain areas.
to and from certain areas. So
Exactly.
we could look at the possibilities of that too as well.
Yes, and also we can use the technique of farming. You know, the kind of farming that we call terracing and one called contour plowing. That is ideal for planting on a hillside. In countries like St. Vincent and the Grenadines, these are the kind of approaches that we must take if we want to capitalize on all the available lands that we have so that we can put them under production in one crop or the other.
All right. We're going to take some of the questions from some of our online viewers. This person submits the question, medical marijuana is a selective market. Is the NDP serious about recreational, holistic purposes and usage?
Now, Colin, if that, very good question, because that question would try to give people a better perspective of the when it comes to marijuana. From day one, when we carried out our first town hall meeting to deal with agriculture and medicinal marijuana, to be specific, we went there to listen to what people had to say. People are involved, and we had it fit use in North Leon. We knew that in order for a country like St. Vincent to benefit from the marijuana industry, not only can we talk about medicinal, but we have to talk about recreational as well.
Right.
We cannot just throw it under the carpet because recreational marijuana is what we know in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. When it comes to marijuana and St. Vincent, that is synonymous with recreational marijuana, not medicinal marijuana.
Right.
Medicinal marijuana, the person said, it's something new to us.
It's a new market.
It's a new market. Now, the name medicinal, because some people will tell you, well, the herb is a medicine.
Right.
But we go in now with the name that has been, the label that has been given to the different, to marijuana and its uses.
Right.
The New Democratic Party, we said in the past, and let me repeat it tonight, that we will first legalize small amounts of marijuana for personal use. We'll do that. And then we are looking at the possibility of legalizing marijuana for recreational use, because that's where the money is. My brother, if we look at the stats, okay, in terms of medical marijuana and recreational marijuana, the money is in the recreational marijuana. Billions of dollars are to be made from recreational marijuana as opposed to medicinal.
Is there a connection with some people would say ganja tourism?
Well, listen, you're reading my mind. I have a proposal for my constituency of North Leon. When it comes to ganja, North Leon, the mecca for that, you know. In North Leon, there was an area in Richmond that used to house, you might know the radio man, they used to house the former relay station for Radio Angeles. Remember those days?
Yes,
right.
I remember. My father worked there many years ago.
Yes. So that area, that flat area, the New Democratic Party, this is the party had vision into my brother. We had already started construction of what we call cabanas. And if you go on the site now, you would meet a restaurant, you would meet some cabanas. But the ULP as usual left them to the weather, and some trees grew up in some, and just they're lying down.
Right.
That when the New Democratic Party got into office, and we reorganize or do some amendments to the present medical or the ganja legislation we have in Parliament, we have to amend that legislation if you want it to work so the small farmers can benefit.
Right.
So here,
Especially the small farmers.
Especially small farmers, because it has been our concern from day one. That area down there is ideally located. It's close to where the most of the guys plant the marijuana, and it has an ambience of its own. We are thinking about establish like a ganja-free zone in that area. We're going to have shops, bars, organized stores to ganja farms, and we're going to have like a recreational area with swimming pools and other stuff like that to attract, to give our own little Amsterdam now.
Right.
Where people go to Amsterdam, go to Europe, and they go there for every year for special. So we're going to have that. Our people could make the cake, the snacks, whatever.
And let's
the
face
wine.
it, there are a lot of persons who travel the world over, just like how you have wine connoisseurs.
Yeah,
you have
ganja connoisseurs.
Right.
You know, there are people who come here and they do their the videos promoting the Vinci Prime thing.
Right, the Vinci strain.
The Vinci strain. And, you know, if we are going with the flow, Colin, that's the way the world is now. The taboo that was associated with marijuana is gradually moving away.
Right.
You know, and while there might be some legislation as far as marijuana is concerned worldwide, the barriers are falling down. And I predict that 5 years from then, which is 4 years in 4 years' time, the conversation we're having now with marijuana, treating it like a tabooed product, we will not be having that conversation. Because things are moving fast. And because things are moving fast, we in St. Vincent and the Grenadines must the region have gone ahead and are putting things in place. They're trying to do better than we are doing.
Right.
So we have to put legislation in place. We have to COVID-19 struck. All the big talk about ganja gone
Out
to
the
the
window.
as if it was an excuse to this marijuana business going. We knew from day one that the farmers were not going to benefit, the local farmers, that is.
All right. We pretty much touched a lot so far. Still much more that we can continue to expound on. I've heard you many times before talking about a green task force.
Okay. Now, the green task force, my brother, since 2015, the New Democratic Party have been saying to the people, the farmers especially, the banana farmers to be specific, listen, we believe while there is restriction, or while we lose the special protection we had from Europe in terms of a banana, we lose that with the WTA regulations and whatnot. We believe in St. Vincent that there are farmers who are involved in banana cultivation can make a living. Right next door in St. Lucia, we have examples of that, where St. Lucia is doing pretty much okay with banana exports. What we need, my brother, is a similar situation in St. Vincent, because they're poors now, who for all their lives have been planting banana and making money, and they are good farmers producing quality bananas. The green team that we talked about, it was a team from day one, when we formed the government. The fourth task is to do an analysis of banana in St. Vincent and the way forward. We believe there is money to be made still. Once we can get the right crop, once we could get the quality up, once we could get the black sigatoka under control, we could produce a quality fruit that we can sell on the European market and other regions that are still, that banana are still in demand. So we can do that. And the green team that we will establish within the Ministry of Agriculture to deal specifically with banana/planting, they will be undertaking that task to give us the information necessary as to how we should proceed. So that is something that we believe will get the industry, not on its footing of it as in the 90s, but at least we can export and make some money from that.
All right. Well, as we come down to the final few minutes of the program, so quick, believe it or not, the time sure flies. But Patel Matthews, I really appreciate you coming and sitting here with us. I just want you to leave our those who are listening, those who are viewing us tonight on both Facebook and YouTube, as the final thing that they take away from all of this again is, what are you going to do under a new Democratic Party-led administration as Minister of Agriculture? What can Vincentians expect from you and the NDP?
Colin, one of the major problems in this country is jobs. Jobs, jobs, jobs. You have been hearing it echoing. And that is the reason why I mentioned in the beginning that thousands of Vincentians have left the shores for the UK, to Canada, the USA, and other islands to make a better living for themselves. As a greener pasture. if we had quality jobs in St. Vincent, or more jobs available, there will not be that number of migration. People will leave, yes, as in all countries, but the amount of people leaving St. Vincent for a greener pasture, we would not have that. You can imagine people leaving St. Vincent in Jove to go to Antigua and work, because no work is here for them to do. We believe that we can position agriculture in a way to create more jobs in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And hence the reason why I said, Colin, that in order to do that, we have to look at agriculture in a holistic manner. All the aspect of it. So the whole food chain, from the ground, from the planting to the fork. So we have to look at everything and see how we could reach and get agriculture back on track. And all the spin-off in agro-processing. You know, every year we have fruits of untold amounts being spoiled. You know, we can have a means by which we can juice our fruits, sell that for other, because fruit pulps used as a raw material for a lot of stuff, drinks, medicine, a lot of stuff. We can do that. You already hear Major talk about twinning our agriculture with something else, with some big company. Find ways, find means of doing it. There are so many things that we can do, Colin, to improve agriculture, to improve jobs in the country, to improve the way of lives of Vincent. And that, my friend, would be the focus of an agriculture ministry and also a ministry of fisheries and marine environment. And I tell you, Colin, when the New Democratic Party gets in office, and we have these ministries out there, St. Vincent and the Grenadines will be better off. Because you know why? We are going to broaden the scope, my brother. And we're going to make things happen. And St. Vincent and the Grenadines will be the winner in the end.
All right, Patel, I want to say thank you very much for being the guest tonight on the New Democratic Party's NDP Monday Night Live. I'd love to see you come back and sit again here with us.
Brother, we have so many things to talk about. We haven't even talked about North Leeward yet, but that's a different story. and the marijuana by itself, the topic, fisheries and this whole complete.
You'll be back.
So I will be back. I must be back.
Patel will be back. Patel will be back. So at this point in time, we'll come to the end of the NDP Monday Night Live here at this Facebook page. Just before we go, just to remind you, the president and leader of the New Democratic Party, you can catch him on Boom 106.9 FM. Tomorrow he'll be on air talking with the that will be on Wednesday. So make sure you tune into Boom FM on Wednesday for the president and leader of the New Democratic Party. Want to put in a little plug here to us. At the NDP headquarters. You can't miss it. Just drive straight in. You'll see the sign and you just head around to the back and you get your doubles and your rotis and what's not. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for tuning in and watching tonight on the NDP Monday Night Live. I was your host, Colin Graham. My guest, the Honorable Patel Matthews from the New Democratic Party. Until next time, thank you for joining us.